Hey, Bibs. How are ya? Do you eat that grape? Okey-doke. What's your name? What's your name? I know you want a berry. It's a different question. What's your name? Yeah, it is a nutri-berry. What's your name? Hi. She's so quiet. Sweetie pie. Put your sugar cubes in there. Sound like you dropped a big part of that one. Did ya? Where'd it go? Sweetheart. What's your favorite color? Yeah, what about color? What's your favorite color? Do you have a favorite color? I like blue. What's your favorite color?
Purple.
Very good. So we still remember how to talk, we just don't want to, I guess. There you go. You're welcome. Gracie's in a better mood today. Aren't ya? You being sweet today? So far. Yeah, Beebs. Enjoying your grapes today. Yeah, that's why I'm giving you so many grapes. Because you seem to be liking them. Hi. It's awful quiet when Baby's not jabbering, isn't it? So Connie was asking if Bibi could be getting immunity to her medicines. You know, like getting a tolerance to them. That's possible, but it kind of with these neurological medicines, they work kind of sporadically, and a lot of times it's just kind of guesswork of why they work anyway, because you know we just don't really understand the human brain, or the animals' brains even less. So like I've met schizophrenic people that you know they're fine when their medicine is working, and they don't change their medicine or anything. It'll go a little while where it just stops working, and then it'll start working again. Usually they change the meds a little bit. You gotta lessen them or raise them a little bit to spark a change. So we do that with Baby when she's having seizures. We add the medicine. Actually, we add two, but she's out of nose drops right now. It's because they give us such a small quantity. It's a highly controlled substance. It's kind of silly because the amount they could give us, like you could probably drink the whole thing and not even feel it, but they have to be very careful about how they dispense it. So we get tiny little amounts, probably just like maybe 6 or 8 doses at a time. So when she has multiple seizures, which she hasn't had since last summer, she's lately just been having one-offs. Yeah, Bibi's favorite food. That's a tough one because she likes a lot of different things. And it changes. She'd probably tell you pizza, but she doesn't really get that too often. I think she likes when someone comes to the door. She gets to see a new person. She likes the big old pizza box to chew on once all the pizza's gone. They really shouldn't have cheese and salt and all that, so that's not good for them. She likes oranges quite a bit, but she that kind of comes and goes. Yeah, Nutriberries are definitely her favorite treat, and that's what she's eating right now. And when she says want a berry, that's what she's asking for. What kind of berry? Huh? What kind of berry? Yeah, but what kind of berry? Lefebvre? What kind of berry? I don't know if she'd answer that right away. Mm-hmm. What kind of berry? Yeah, what kind of berry? Yeah, you can tell her voice is a little quieter than it usually is. Yeah. Hey, Gracie. I don't know if she's talking more quiet because she has a headache, or if it's because she's tired. There. I know her seizures wear me out, that's for sure. We're in Illinois, Ben, and we're getting rain today. So it's not raining right this minute, but it was earlier, and it looks like it's gonna rain again. Yesterday was really nice. We were like in the 60s, and it was sunny. Bibi likes to talk about strawberries, but she doesn't actually eat them, which I find weird. The only time she ever showed any interest in a strawberry, she was really, really young, and all she did was pick the little black seeds off the outside of the strawberry. And we tried giving it to her all different ways. And give her a whole strawberry with the stem off of it. We tried slicing it up. We tried mashing it up and see if she'd try it that way, and she just showed no interest in it except for the little seeds on the outside. Well, that's a really good way of phrasing it, Zoe. Yep. Yeah, doses is how we either say doses or amount of medicine. Yeah. I don't know what it is about strawberries. Maybe they're just a little too acidic. Hi there. What did you want? Don't you want some breakfast? You don't want to go in the other room, do you? Go cook some egg. Do you want some egg, Beebs? Do you want some egg, Gracie? All right. Let's eat something other than berries, okay? Hey, you beautiful. So Bibi's been on a whole bunch of different types of drugs for her seizures. The amount of Keppra she's taking right now is probably maxed out. They don't like to give, more and more of the same drug. It's good to kind of give a whole bunch of different ones. There's a reasoning behind that, and it's just not occurring to me right now. But the last change in her meds that they did was to give her gabapentin more often. They added, she was getting it twice a day, and they changed it to 3 times a day. So she'd get an extra dose of her gabapentin. How you doing, Beebs? Sometimes when she's had multiple ones like this, we'll see a little bit of a change in her eyes, like how she holds her eyes. And I think I kind of see that a little bit today, where she doesn't look as wide-eyed as she normally is. She doesn't really look like droopy, but yeah, you can see how she's kind of, just kind of almond-eyed, yeah. And I'm gonna give you some eggs as soon as he's cool. What do you think of that, Gracie? Don't those look good? Yeah. They're too hot right now, though. Yeah, still too hot. Yeah, gotta let them cool. Yeah, gotta let them cool. Joan, are you in Mississippi? Is that right? Yeah, the South has been getting hammered with tornadoes lately. They're pretty smart down south. A lot of the homes have basements. There's a basement here too. I remember so many times growing up that we had to run down the basement to because there was a tornado warning or watch or whatever it is. There's a difference between the watches and the warnings, and I can never keep them straight. One of them is just weather is ideal for a tornado, and I think the other one is a tornado's actually been spotted. I can never keep it straight which one's which, though. Hi, Beebs. We're gonna get some eggs here. Yeah. Okay, egg? Yeah. See, that time you didn't attack the spoon. You remember yesterday when I gave her some applesauce and she attacked the spoon? Yeah. Yesterday, a lot of what Bibi would say was water. She just would say water over and over again. And so we were always curious if she's feeling thirsty, but she just doesn't want to drink anything. This is why I've been giving her lots of grapes and trying to pick things that are moist for her to eat. Because you can get your water from your food too. Oops. A good one? Yeah. A good bird. So she's eating scrambled eggs right now. I forgot to put any broccoli in them. Yeah, you didn't get any broccoli, did you? Yeah, there's eggs. They're good eggs. Oops. Nice, is it good? Gracie's enjoying her eggs. Oop. Good bird. So this is probably one of her favorite foods. I don't think I've ever offered the birds eggs and they didn't eat them. Yeah, it's a good breakfast food. Ooh, that's a big one. Yeah, did you get a big old egg? Alright, how about you? Do you need more? So that little coo is Gracie's, I think it's her way of saying thank you. Very sweet. Hi. What you thinking, Beebs? Hmm? Are you hearing something? Hmm? She's done with that egg, I guess. Hey. Hmm? Again, Beebs, are you tuckered out? Hey dear. There's a carrot. You want a carrot? Put the carrot right there for later. It's so sweet. Hey, big bird. Hey, Beebs, what would we do without the microwave? Huh? You feel like a noodle? I don't think people can see your noodle, Beebs. I'll see if she's done with her noodle. I'll see if I can get her to turn around for the next one. When you talk quiet, Biebs, it makes me want to talk quiet too. It makes Gracie want to be noisy. Good girl. Can you step up? Can you step up? Can you step up? You don't want to step up. She grabbed my finger and moved it away from her body. You're so cute. Can you step up, please? Please? There you go. Thank you, Biebs. I'm just going to do that. Is that right? Hmm? And middle? No, I was wondering how you're going to do that without dropping any. Yeah. Did you drop some? Yeah. This is the kitty eating. Kitty's allowed to eat her, isn't she? How you doing, Biebs? You feeling poorly? You know you have a noodle there, don't you? Remember your noodle? Yeah? Are you going to eat that noodle? Are you saving it for later? We've noticed with all three parrots that we've had, all African greys, that they've all been right-handed or right-footed. And Gracie would eat her noodle with her right foot too. Yeah. Are you going to eat that noodle? You don't have to. There's one for later, okay? Biebs. So there is a type of seizure that's called an absence seizure. It happens in people where someone will just kind of stare off into space. And I think Jenny was in here yesterday and she was describing that kind of seizure happening to her. So I wonder sometimes when Bibi like stops mid noodle or mid apple, whatever, and just kind of holds it for a long time, that's kind of what's happening with her. I would have no idea how to be able to tell that from just normal staring off into space. Is that bird loud, Bibi? Yeah, you're just sleepy today, aren't you? Yeah, me too. I could have just slept in. In fact, I did. I stayed in bed until 8:30. Well, we got up and did Bibi's meds, and then we went back to bed, didn't we, Biebs? Which we never do. I can't really sleep when the sun's up. It makes it, I don't know, my circadian rhythms just don't let me nap during the day. I think Bibi's kind of like that too. You always want to fight it, don't you, Biebs? But you can sleep. It's okay. On YouTube, if you look up absence seizure, it's absence like, like if you, in school, if you missed a class, that they would say you were absent. It's spelled that way. So on YouTube, there's some examples they've filmed people having them. Sometimes accidentally too, because the person doesn't know they're going to have one, and they're just sitting talking to someone being filmed, and suddenly go into one of those absent seizures. So it's pretty interesting to learn about like all that different stuff, but I don't know how much of it carries over to birds. You guys are built differently, aren't you? Yeah. You're a good little bird. Oh, really, John? That's interesting that your niece had him. So how long are Bibi's seizures? Barbara asked. She has, when she goes into one, I would count it starting like when the head shake starts. The actual seizure where she's convulsing, I'd say only lasts maybe a minute. And it feels, that feels like a really, really long time. If you just sit and stare at a watch, waiting for a minute to go by, it feels like a long time. But then after that, then there's usually like another 7 or 8 minutes of what they call postictal, which is where you're not convulsing anymore, but you're not really back to normal yet. You're still kind of out of it. So she has a postictal haze or whatever. I think that's kind of how they refer to it. So the whole thing altogether is around 10 minutes, usually a little bit under, like 8 or 9 minutes. And with the nose drop, sometimes the actual seizing part is less than a minute. I should say minute or two. Sometimes they're a little longer. And some of them are really loud that she'll squawk. Usually she doesn't flap her wings, but there have been times where she will hold her wings outstretched. A lot of times it's only one side that she'll do that with, and she'll ball up the foot on that side too. And sometimes she balls up both feet and extends both wings. And so when she balls up both feet, if she's perching, obviously she can't do that anymore because she's not hanging on. So usually they happen in her sleep cage, and we specifically got that because of her seizures. So it's a reptile cage, and it's a mesh. She could easily chew her way out of it if she wanted to, but so far she hasn't wanted to. And then we put a rope perch inside. You've seen like Einstein has a rope perch in his outside play area, and it's exactly like that one, but rather than attaching it to something, we just bend it in a like an upside down U shape, and then she can perch on it, and she perches on the top of it that way. So, and the reason we use a rope perch is it's softer than anything else we could find, and we can really quickly remove it. If she's going into a seizure, we want everything to be soft around her. So she has a towel at the bottom. We call it her blanket, though. It's your blanket. Shouldn't use the T word. So the rope perch is the hardest thing that's in the cage, so we'll yank that out until she's done having it. And then sometimes when she comes out of them, she gets kind of scared. And this hasn't happened in a long time, but so she might start like trying to fly around, try to fly away. So it's good to have nothing that's not padded, inside the cage. Everything should be soft. Yeah, that way you won't hurt yourself, right? Because you're in a little padded room. Oh, Ben, we don't even think about that. She's not going anywhere for a long time, right, Bibi Bird? She's only 14, so you got years and years ahead of her, don't you, Biebs? You're a good bird. Yeah, we just gotta get her meds straightened out, so. Hey Ben, I'm gonna have to boot you if you keep asking that question. People are telling you that that's rude, okay? I know you might not intend it to be rude, but it is, okay? It's okay. That's why I didn't want to kick you out, because I know you really like Bibi. You're a big animal lover. I knew you probably didn't mean it that way. It's okay. Just please don't do it again, okay? Because we like having you here. I just don't like that question. Babes, do you want another grape? Did you eat all your grapes? Yeah. Oops, here's a grape. How did a grape get in there? Huh? Is it taking a bath? Huh? Was that grape taking a bath? She's dropping parts of her noodle. That's pretty unusual. Yeah, you're feeling a little clumsy, Beebs. It's okay. Guess even when she turns around, she does it so slowly. make some coffee, Beebs. So Bibi's doctor is really nice. She emailed me yesterday quite a bit and invited us up to the university. They're doing social distancing up there with their appointments too. So it'd be a little strange if we just drive up there and then kind of hand her off. And then we wouldn't be going inside, so that would be a first. But you gotta do what you gotta do. So they did that with Stella too. That's kind of how Stella's appointment was like they have a little like vestibule area, and you put your pet in there. Well, you call them from the parking lot and tell them that you have your pet, and then you put the pet in the little vestibule, and then you leave, and then one of the workers comes out and picks up the carrier or grabs your dog's leash or however, whatever kind of animal you got. So I've had to do that twice with Stella. So she's got a UTI right now, so, or bladder infection. It's not really a UTI. It's not the urinary tract that's infected. It's actually the bladder. So she's getting treated for that. And then she's still on some medication to try to keep her regular. So I might move her to like a high fiber diet. It sounds kind of funny for a cat. What is that, Beach? Is that water? I'm cooking some coffee. Is that the water sound? Is that water? Oh, it sure is quiet when you're being quiet. So I was listening to this podcast day before yesterday, I think it was. Is all about like diseases and stuff. It sounds really morbid or dark, but it's very, very interesting. They take like very hard to digest science journals and break them down so that laymen like myself can understand them. And the podcast is called "This Podcast Will Kill You." It's kind of a funny title for it. But they go after like topics like the one I listened to is on botulism, and one of the most interesting things that they're talking about. Well, the botulism is still the bacteria that forms it is still like the most toxic substance known to man. I think it's just really interesting because it's been around, it's been documented for like as long as there's been human beings documenting history. It's probably even mentioned in the Bible of people dying of getting poisoned from their food. But one of the most interesting things is that's why babies can't eat honey, is because there's just enough of the the botulism bacteria in honey to that babies can't handle it. So I don't know why adults can, but I probably should have listened a little closer to the podcast about that part. Because I know some people eat honey like it's going out of style. I met a guy on a cruise one time, and he was vegan, but he ate honey, which I thought was kind of interesting, because I mean, you're not, vegans don't typically eat honey, but he was eating like oatmeal, and he put so much honey on it. He had like honey packets, and I think he probably used about 10 of them on just one bowl of oatmeal. So it's kind of like, why don't you have a little oatmeal with your honey? But they also said that those, whenever you hear like a bunch of wild birds that fall out of the sky all at the same time, they've figured out that it's botulism that's doing that too. Yeah, Bibi seizures are very taxing. It's stressful on her. It's awful to see her go through them, and you just feel so out of control. There's nothing you can really do except do what we've been told by the vets to do and try to keep her calm. And try to keep her diet good, so that she's not getting any salt or anything that might be triggering them. But we really don't know what triggers them. And Gracie being noisy bees. Oh, something nice happened last night. My birth mother called me again out of the blue, which was really nice. Made me really happy, and then like a couple hours later, baby had a seizure, and it all kind of evened out a little bit for me last night. I had some really nice things happen, and then some terrible things. So it's just how life treats you. It's how you deal with it that determines your character. We try roll with the punches, right, Beebs? Yeah. So the veterinary teaching hospital at U of I, they have an emergency room too. So if she does keep having them, her doctor is off this coming week, but she'll be back the week after that. So that's when we're planning on taking her up there. But if she just still keeps having them, having a seizure here and there, that we'd probably take her up before then and just have someone else see her. Because I think her old doctor, Dr. Welly, might still be up there, and there's a chance he might be working this week. So Aaron asked, when did Bibi start having seizures? So we're not exactly sure when, because we were so such novices about spotting a seizure that we thought they were night terrors, because we'd read about birds getting night terrors. So, but I'm thinking that it was probably, she was probably 3, maybe 2 or 3. So, and there is a chance that she probably was having night terrors, and she might have hit her head or something during one of those, and that might be why she has seizures now, like from a head injury. But we just really don't know. Because I'm thinking back. My dog Muffins. He got seizures when he was. He got from a head injury because he jumped up one time when someone was swinging a bat, and they were going to hit a ball, and he jumped up to catch the ball while they swung the bat, and he got hit in the head with the bat. So that's that was horrible. So but he survived it and everything. He had seizures after that, but he had medicine for it, and I think I would have been pretty aware that Bibi was having a seizure if I had seen one prior to when she was. Oh, I have a chart. I should know right when she had her first one. We kept a calendar of like everything about her, all her appointments. Let's see. Oh, actually, she's a little bit older. Okay, I have it as July of 2010. Okay, so she was 4 years old when we first took her up to see Dr. Welly, and he described it as epilepsy. Idiopathic epilepsy is what he called it. So that was the time that she got x-rayed, because he wanted to make sure that she didn't have something in her system that might have been causing it. Okay, so she was 4, but we had I didn't really write anything down, I think, between 2016 and 2010, or 2006 and 2010. Except that when Pete came and joined us, when he came and joined our family, that was in March of 2010. Yeah, so even in 2010, she was born in 2006, so still in 2010 we were thinking that she was having night terrors, but we were concerned because they seem to keep happening. So by July of that year, I guess we'd figured out that this was not normal and thought, she's having seizures. So the very first medication that they put her on was a Medicam, which is just a anti-inflammatory. A lot of people take it for like arthritis, and it seemed to help for a while. It's pretty effective. So, and Dr. Welly even say, we don't know why it works, but it's just the first thing to try because it's a very mild medication. It's easy on the liver. Oh, Aaron, you remembered the name of my dog. That's so sweet. Yeah, Muffins was a great dog. We got him from the pound. I thought he looked like the Benji, the dog that was on TV. My dad would always call him a Heinz 57, which he's like all kinds of different breeds mixed together. He was a good pup.
rumbling is just the coffee maker. Probably sounds weird on the camera.
Get the coffee cooking, Beebs. Pop, pop. Yeah, Barbara, a lot of Bibi's meds are compounded too. They're it's basically when they take a pill or a powder and they add it to a solution, because you can't give a pill to a bird. It would be impossible. So birds have to have everything in liquid form. So Bibi used to get her zonisamide and her Valium, and one was in a capsule, and the Valium was in tablet form, and so I had to do kind of my own compounding with those. And I think even her the first time she had the Celebrex, that was also in a capsule. So what I would do is open the capsule up, and then there's like a powder inside, and then add that powder to one of her liquid medications. And kind of just stir it all up together. So for Bibi to get her, was it Kepra? Or was it the one before? I think it was her potassium bromide that we used to have to go to an apothecary to get them to make that. So I think that's a little bit different than a pharmacy. But I think they kind of do the same thing. They take things that are not liquids and turn them into liquids. But some of her meds, like they're not homogenized well, I guess you'd say, that where the powder kind of over time will kind of settle at the bottom, so I really have to shake them really well. And gosh, one of them in particular, her Celebrex, that she only gets that once a day, so it tends to settle quite a bit. So I should remember to shake it even when she's not going to get it. Just shake it a couple times a day, because otherwise I'm just standing there shaking it for like 10 or 15 minutes, trying to get it to all dissolve again. So it's a big clue to Bibi that she's about to get her medicine. If she sees me standing there shaking a bottle for feels like forever. Hi, Beebs. Am I boring you to sleep, Bibi bird? Oh, Beverly, thank you so much. That's very nice of you. Beverly did a super chat, Bibi. I really appreciate that.
it does get expensive with her, you know, all her medicines and her vet visits. The teaching hospital is pretty reasonable, though, I have to say. If anybody has a bird that's watching, that's up around Champaign, Urbana, Illinois. It's about 4 hours north of here. 4-hour drive. They're very reasonable, and they don't do just birds. They do all animals. You could even have like a pet lizard, you know, and take it up there. They do all kinds of exotics, and dogs and cats. Oh, the last time we were there with Bibi, there was this lady she was paying her bill, and she had her dog on a leash behind her, and the dog just started pooping on the floor, and Greg, you know, said something to the lady. He's like, oh, your dog's going. And she turned around and looked and just, you know, casually just kind of turned back around like she just didn't care or anything. And so Greg jumped up and got some paper towels or something from one of the other receptionists, and he cleaned it up, you know, for her and everything, and disposed of it, and the lady never thanked him or anything. It was like so rude. And she didn't apologize to like the staff for, you know, her dog doing that. I mean, I would have been mortified and embarrassed, and, you know, thanking everybody up and down for if they helped me clean it up. But I would have been cleaning up myself. I mean, gosh, she just acted like it was just nothing was happening. It's like some people are just weird. Oh, Zoe, I hope it's nothing. I hope that's just a glitch. Is it like a smoke detector? Or is it, is it your smoke detector, or is it like are you in an apartment building that has like a fire alarm? Yeah, Aaron, I agree. It's like I never saw someone so rude. Well, yeah, I have. But she was in a room just full of people, you know, and it's not like, you know, dog stuff doesn't smell. I mean, it was just, I guess she's thinking it's just a little mess. It's a little dog. It's just a little mess. And it's like, yeah, and it's a little smelly too, you know. Get on that, lady. Oh, Beverly, I wanted to tell you, you and Zoe, you're both in Florida, and you've been complaining about how hot it is. And Greg and I were talking yesterday about how, you know, the heat might be really good for like the virus not spreading. You know, Trump talked about that too. I don't think he knew the science behind it, but the reason why we don't get as many colds and flu during the summer. You know, of course, when you do, oh gosh, it's miserable. But those are probably the really strong bugs, and that's why you feel worse in the warm weather. But it has to do with like the moisture particles in the air. So in the summertime when it's really hot, that there's typically the well, if it's a moist heat though, like if you got high humidity, this probably doesn't hold true, but that the particles they're heavier, and they will fall down to the ground, you know, so they won't be lingering in the air as long. So I don't know. I'm half asleep. Bibi, you're putting me to sleep. Yeah, it would be really nice if the summer kind of burned stuff off, but they're saying also that like it was really, really hot in Australia, and they still had a, pretty big outbreak there, despite the heat. Oh yeah, the shaking of the bottle. Yeah, this, boy, oh boy, that it seems like they could compound it a little better. I mentioned it to him, and when I ordered some last time, that it wasn't staying mixed very well. And it made me worry too if I'm not the one that's given the meds. If it's one of the boys, that they might not shake it as much. It says to shake well, but if you don't constantly look at the bottom to see if there's still a bunch of powder down there, you might be in a little bit of a rush and just decide, oh, I'll just give it. I shook it enough. But really, it has to be well blended. Otherwise, the medicine's not going to be evenly distributed in the solution. Yeah, some of that, Beverly, I think, is that you've been saying it's really humid too, and that really makes you feel the heat so much worse. Places like Arizona and stuff that have a dry heat, I wonder if they're having less of the virus. I don't know. Well, they're probably not in the extreme heat yet. Maybe they are, though, because if you're having it, they probably are too. Our weather's just been all over the place. Like, we had frost on our windows on Friday morning, and then yesterday it was nice and warm. The 60s, you could go out with just a light jacket on. And now today's all rainy. Jonathan's here. Hi, Jonathan. I hope you're feeling better. Baby Jonathan's back. Are you feeling sleepy, Beebs? She is really tuckered. How you doing, sweetheart? We're worried about you, little Bibi bird. Do you want to go see Dr. Joanna? I really wish her specialist was on clinic duty this week. But them is just the breaks, aren't the beeps? It's been about 11 hours since she's had her last seizure, so. Are you gonna be out of the woods, Beeps? She's gotta be tired. It's exhausting, isn't it, Beebs? You ate a good breakfast. You ate a bunch of grapes. You had some noodles and some eggs. You had some berries. Yeah. Hey Zoe, there might be a reason why you get sick when you get the flu shot. There's one of the versions of the flu shot. It has egg in it. It's somehow made of egg, and some people are allergic to that part of it. So I don't know if you have an allergy to eggs or not, but or if you're actually getting, the flu from the shot. That happens sometimes too. It's pretty rare, but you might just be one of those people that it's not rare for you. Yeah, I have a relative that she got really really sick from the flu shot, and she does not ever get one again. She always says, "I almost died." I don't know, how I wasn't around her during that time, so, but that was before she married into the family. But yeah, she was miserable. Well, thank you, Zoe. Bibi, people are paying for your meds. That's nice. I really do appreciate that. It's very nice of you. Yeah, I think it's not the flu that you get from the flu shot. It's just something else that some people just react to the way it's delivered. But you can't catch anything from something that's dead unless something else that's mixed in with it. And there is a chance too. There's different strains of flu. So like if you get the flu shot, it usually only is effective against the flu type A, which is the harshest one. I was told at the hospital, this is what they told me when my mom had the flu, that she tested positive in January for the flu B, which is like the second most mild form. Also, the second most harsh. So it's like right in the middle. There's three. There's flu A, B, and C. So she had the one that's the medium flu, I guess, and it almost killed her. It was really harsh on her because she's 85, and yeah, it just knocked her for a loop for sure. So she was in the hospital from the 8th to the 21st. So it's almost 2 weeks. I guess it is 2 weeks. In the first few days, oh my gosh, she couldn't even keep her eyes open. She couldn't breathe. They had to put her on a BiPAP machine, which it's kind of like the CPAPs that people sleep with. Is that what those are called? The ones when you have sleep apnea. The BiPAP, like, actually it forces air in and out of your lungs. So she hated wearing that. But for the beginning, when she had to wear it, she didn't even know she was wearing it because she was so out of it. But she'd had her flu shot and she still got the flu. So, but the thing is, the flu shot was only flu A. It was only effective against that type of flu. So she got exposed to flu B. So the shot was completely didn't help her at all with that. So that could be too. Another thing is that if you come down with the flu after getting a flu shot, it's like it's not the shot that gave it to you, but it's just you got exposed to a different strain. And flu C, I guess, is the most mild, and some people get it and they just really don't even know they have the flu. They might just feel a little tired or have sniffles or something like that. But it probably all depends on, like how your immune system is working. For someone that's older and already has like COPD and congestive heart failure and all that kind of stuff, that if you get flu C, you probably know it. It probably hits you a lot harder. Yeah, I've never had the flu shot. I probably should, and I think I will from now on. But in the past, I didn't get it because they would talk about like having a short supply, and I thought, I'm healthy, and if I get it, I could fight it off easier than say one of my friends that doesn't, isn't healthy. So I didn't want to take up one of the vaccines, that they could get instead. So when it was in short supply, but I think that was a long time ago, that they don't really, they are on top of it now, that they tend to have a good supply of the flu vaccines. So Jonathan, when you're going to church, you're going to church on TV, right? You still get dressed up and everything. I think that's pretty nifty. There's no reason you can't, still feel like you're getting up and out, and even if you're just staying at home, they have it's kind of a tradition to put on your Sunday duds. You don't like the word duds, Beebs? Hmm? What you looking at? Hmm? Bibi hasn't said anything this morning except wanting berries. Are you letting Gracie and me do all the talking, Beebs? He's a good little bird. Good stretch, Beebs. I was stretching too. It was weird. We both decided to stretch at the same time. Good stretching, Beebs. Doesn't that feel good? It's hard to sleep well when Bibi's having seizures, that's for sure. Oh yeah, sinus infections are the worst. I had one over the holidays. I think I picked something up when we were traveling. We had a tradition for a few years to go somewhere new every New Year's Eve, so that we would wake up in a place we'd never been before, and at the beginning of the new year. And I caught something. I think it was a year we went to Vienna in Austria, and on the flight over, oh no, Greg caught something on the flight over, and then on the flight back, I think I was sick, and so I was sick for my birthday, which is New Year's Eve, and I definitely had a sinus infection that time, and it just went on and on, just lasted forever. And I think the medicine they gave me too made me feel even worse. It gave me like a really, really bad headache. Oh, Jonathan, that sounds terrible. Can I ask what the name of your muscle disorder is? I'm just kind of curious. Yeah, everybody's got their own struggles, that's for sure. Thanks, Jonathan. I might read up a little bit on that just out of curiosity. So mitochondria is a very familiar word. Isn't it the proteins that are inside cells? Well, they're the powerhouses of the cells, aren't they? Well, so I bet if your mitochondria aren't working right, that you probably get where your muscles just don't work the way they're supposed to because they're not getting the energy that they need. Wow, they gave him morphine for a sinus infection? Oh, you just said he was sick. Yeah, why would you give someone morphine right off the bat? Like, let's just give you something highly addictive. Yeah, all that would do is just cover up your symptoms, just make you not feel them. It doesn't mean that they're not still happening. That is really weird. Hi, Beebs. Are you feeling weird? Greg and I used to travel quite a bit before we got Bibi. We did a lot of cruises and we'd fly to different countries and stuff. And it seemed like a lot of times if we flew on a plane that we would come down with some kind of illness. But on the cruise ships we never did. I mean, we'd always, if we caught something during a cruise trip, it was usually from the flight. in or out of the city where the boat's leaving. Never actually caught anything on a cruise, as far as I know. But I think that's why they invented the airborne stuff. They kind of made it seem like it was a teacher that made it, not a stewardess or anything. But teachers know that, you know, kids carry a lot of germs and spread them amongst each other, because kids don't like washing their hands, that's for sure. So she invented the airborne, which is basically just a combination of like zinc and vitamin C in like mega doses. And there's probably some other stuff in there too to support the absorption of those minerals and vitamins. But I have a friend that's a nurse, and he swears by zinc to help boost your immunity. Hi, you're looking pretty wide-eyed right now. Yeah, oops, as soon as I said that. Yeah, I wish we could wave a magic wand and make the seizure stop. That would be so nice. I always think each time she has one, it's like, good, let's be done with this. Let's have this be the very last one, you know. And be healthy the rest of the time. So Erin, I'm glad you asked of when she started having them, because that made me look it up. I did have a chart, you know, where I kept track of everything. Well, I started keeping track of everything once she started having the episodes. I didn't do a very good job of keeping track of everything when we first got her. You know, I just knew the date we got her and when she was hatched and all that. But when she started having her, I guess we called them episodes at first because we didn't know that they were seizures, I started making a chart. And we had a habit of weighing her like every night too. That would be like a little procedure, a little tradition. Every night, let's weigh the birdies. And she'd get weighed, and then she'd come back and have her apple. And then she'd eat like half the apple and then drop it down to, and then our dog Sweet D would get the rest of her apple. And she'd be sitting under the cage waiting for Bibi to drop it. Oh, Joan, I'm glad you take zinc. That's good. It's good to hear that, because your immunity is probably a little lowered. Yeah, these nurses, they know what's going on. I think sometimes the nurses know more than the doctors do. I was reading a book on, I might have mentioned this book before, it's one of my favorite ones. It's like on the history of emergency medicine. Yeah, I think I mentioned that before when we were talking about polio. And it talked about like how the crash cart was invented in the ER. And it was invented by a nurse because she was tired of, like, you know, when there was something really horrible happening to somebody, that they'd had to rush around and, you know, prepare all these syringes, or, you know, the paddles to start someone's heart again, or, you know, all these, you know, depending on what the emergency was, you had to real quick just grab this equipment, and it might be in someone else's room, or you might be out of it and no one knew it because the drawer didn't get restocked. And so this nurse invented the crash cart, where like each side of the cart is for a different type of emergency. So you'll have drawers that are full of say like syringes that are ready to go for, say, someone that's overdosed on heroin or something, or if their hearts, altogether stop, that they can give them like an adrenaline shot, or if someone like goes into the anaphylactic shock, that they have all the medicine and equipment on that side of the cart to help with that problem. And then you turn the cart around, and then there'll be something for, say, a respiratory problem, where their heart's going just fine, but they're unable to breathe. And so she organized the crash cart to make it easier on the nurses. And another neat thing that nurses have done is, just in general, is checklists that doctors used to not wash their hands and not wash their clothes and stuff. And it used to be like a badge of honor to have a white doctor's jacket that was just filthy with blood, and so that would show that you were busy. It was like a status symbol. And this is a long time ago, before they knew about germs and everything. So, and that's actually how the barber pole got invented. Why it's like red and white is because barbers and doctors used to kind of be one and the same thing. You'd go and they do bleedings and all that kind of stuff. So they would tie like a bloody rag around the pole to show that you could go there to get a treatment. And so that's how why the barber pole looks the way it does. The nurses have been really helpful in making checklists for doctors, like, if you're going to be going into a surgery for, say, you're taking out someone's appendix, that they make a list of everything that needs to be on hand and the order that it needs to be done, and then they go down the checklist and read, at least once, and make sure that everything is accounted for. And then the same at the end of the surgery, they go down the checklist to make sure that everything is accounted for. So that helps them keep from accidentally leaving like a sponge or a tool or something inside of somebody's body when they close up. And of course, like, airlines do the same thing with the pilots have a checklist that they have to go down, make sure that everything's marked off, so that you don't forget something, because once you're up there, you can't go, oh, we forgot this. Can't just easily grab it off the ground if you're way up there. Oh, Zoe, I'm sorry that you have chronic pain. That's a bummer. There's just so many people that, aren't going through that kind of stuff, and you just, like myself, and you just have to, remember to have gratitude, for it, because, it could strike anybody, Boy, Zoe, you really got the whole stew, don't you? Gosh, sometimes this life throws everything at you at once. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you joined us. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are in pain, and people don't even know it. Yeah, I have a really good friend that has fibromyalgia, and I know she's been accused of, they call it malingering when you fake symptoms. And she's definitely not faking. She also has RA, and it runs in her family. And so she has days where she just, can't get out of bed because she just can't, it just hurts too much to move. Oh, baby bird. Yep, dealing with it the best you can is all you can do. You just do your best. And some days will be better than others. Some days, you won't cope with it well. And that's a good time to like reach out to your friends if you can and say, I'm having a bad day. Can you tell me a joke, or can you just keep me company? Right now, of course, we have to do that, virtually. You can sleep. It's okay. I think after 11, when we go off air, I'm probably gonna like kind of turn the lights down and try to be quiet so that little baby bird can sleep. She looks really sleepy. Yeah, I feel really bad for people that have chronic pain that can't get like the opioids that they need now because they've been abused by people that are develop addictions to them, and they abuse the system. It makes it really hard on people that have chronic pain and really need those medications, and it's hard for them to even without the coronavirus thing going on, it's really hard for them to get out of their house. And now a lot of times you're required to actually go to the doctor to pick up the opioid medication, things like Vicodin and that, because other people have abused them. Oh, I'm grateful for Bibi too, and Gracie, and the kitties. Speaking of kitties, we gotta get Stella her medicine. So I was giving Stella a pill the other night, and I was out of practice because she's like never sick, and she bit my thumb like really hard, and it still hurts a little bit where she got me. And the next day I was like, I just put it in some cheese. What am I thinking? That's how you give. It's not that hard to give a pill to a cat. You just put it in food. They'll eat anything. So now it's really easy to give her a pill. I take some American cheese and just roll it up into a little ball and stick the pill inside. She loves it. But her other medicine, the one to keep her regular, is a liquid, and it's really sticky, and that one's kind of hard to give to her. So what I've been doing is wrapping her in a big bath towel so that she doesn't scratch me. But she still moves her head around, and she's a mess right now because she's got the liquid kind of sometimes just drips out a little bit and gets on her chin, so she's got like a sticky chin. Oh, Barbara, did they think you were just having anxiety? Which, that's a terrible thing to say because it's not just anxiety. That's horrible to have. But yeah, a lot of times people are having heart issues and they'll think it's just something that's not physical. But anxiety attacks are physical. I mean, it's your mind telling your body to overreact. So it still affects your heart and everything. Yeah, it's gotta be terrible not to be believed. My dad used to get chest pains and stuff, and he would go to the doctor, and they would tell him his heart was fine. And my mom started thinking that he was having anxiety instead, and it could have been a combination, but I mean, in the end, it was his heart that got him. He had a sudden heart attack, so he might have been ignoring the warning signs that day because he might have been thinking, I'm just having anxiety. So I think it's always good if you think you're having something going on with your heart to go get it checked out, just in case, because sometimes it might be anxiety and sometimes it might not be. It might be an actual cardiac event. Bibi, you're a good little bird, you know that? Yeah, you're a good sleepy little bird. Yeah, they've done studies where they find that women get accused of faking symptoms or overreacting. That's actually like where the word hysterical is, because of the hiss part of the word actually is feminine. It's very crazy. It's probably a reason why a lot of women, want to have a female doctor, because they know that they'll understand them better. Hey Barbara, it sounds like your diet is incredible. When you describe those lunches that you have, it sounds so good and so healthy. It's kind of a Mediterranean diet, isn't it? Where you have a lot of like fish and chicken and a lot of veggies. My downfall with eating is always cheese. I'm a terrible cheese addict. I think I could go without sugar altogether, but if cheese ceased to exist, or I was told I couldn't have it anymore, oh, I think I would mourn. Yeah, Mediterranean diets just they got a lot of like feta cheese and things. I think it'd be really neat sometime to go to like a cheese tasting or something where they introduce you to like new kinds that you've never tried before. One of my camping friends, she had a birthday party the other day, and we did it online using that Zoom software. And it was lots of fun. We filled up the whole screen with people from all over, and some of them were friends that she's known for 30 years or so. And this friend of mine, we were each telling a story about how we met her, or some kind of funny story from our past. And the story I picked was how she introduced me to brie cheese. We were on on a hike, and other people, we had a designated place to meet and a designated time, and at the last minute everybody else said that they were gonna stop somewhere to do something, to visit somebody, I think, that I didn't know. And I was just arriving at the campground when I got that message, so it was like, oh no, and I was kind of nervous about being alone, in a campground by myself, and I don't think I had a dog with me that time. And this friend of mine, she's always really punctual too. She doesn't like being late, and so she'd arrived right before I did. So I was so happy to see her because I thought I was going to be all alone. And there she was, and she had a plate full of brie cheese and a bottle of wine, and I was like, oh, this is just wonderful. What a welcome that is. And I'd never tried brie cheese before, and I was like, oh my gosh, where has it been all my life? I just never thought to try it. They're giving you hot dogs tomorrow? That's weird. That doesn't seem very Mediterranean. Ooh, baked salmon. Much better. My mother hated salmon, and she would even say, I can't stand the smell of it. And so when I was around her, I had to avoid eating salmon because she'd always say that. I can't even stand the smell of it, and I was afraid it'd put her off her food. So meanwhile, she could sit and eat like liver and onions. It's like, and what's that? Chopped. They call it S on a shingle. What is that? Chopped. There's some kind of chopped meat, and oh my gosh, I think it smells so bad. She could eat these things that just stink to high heaven, but she would complain that salmon tastes or smells bad. And I always thought liver and onions smelled horrible. That was her favorite dish. Hi, Beebs. You don't really smell much of anything, do you? Yeah, that's okay, because you're psychic. Yeah, you got extra senses. Ooh, it's a sleepy bird. Yeah. You sleepy? I was sleepy today too, Beebs. Yep, I don't understand people that don't want to listen to their doctors. Really weird. And some people just think they always know more than everyone else. It's like, it's impossible. Yeah. Even the smartest person on the planet, there's somebody that knows something that they don't know. I think it's really good to, before you go see your doctor too, is to study up on, what you think you're going to be discussing, and then so that you can prepare questions and you don't just sit there, listening the whole time, but you can actually participate in your care. I probably drove my mom's doctors crazy because I was constantly asking them questions. That's how I learned so much about the flu, was because I was confused. I was like, well, she had a flu shot. How did she get the flu? And I was like, did it wear off? What's going on? And So they explained to me about the different strains. And there's some doctors that handle that really well if you bombard them with, a bunch of questions. I try to be, polite about it and everything, and tell them, I warn them that I'm a curious person and I want to learn as much as I can. And then I go into my questions, and I tend to make lists to it. I write things down. And some people don't like that. Like, what are you writing down? It's like, well, you're saying things that I need to look up, or I wanna learn more about it. And it's not that I'm questioning them. It's just I don't know, if they're using a word or something to describe a condition. I don't know what that means. I'm gonna go look it up. Hey Zoe, I think you have a really long delay, because it's kind of funny that a lot of things that you're commenting on are things that we were talking about, it feels like a long time ago. Like you might have like a 5 or 10 minute delay on your broadcast. Oh, maybe it's because you came in later, that maybe the video started at the beginning for you. Well, I'm glad he took care of his kitty. It's a shame he didn't take care of himself. My father got diabetes in his last, I don't know, maybe like 30 years of his life. Maybe not that long. Maybe he's about 50. Yeah, so I'd say like 27 years of his life. And at first, he was really into taking good care of his health, and he lost a whole bunch of weight. He lost like 80 pounds, which is like one of the best things you can do if you have any condition, unless you're underweight. If you're overweight, losing weight clears up a lot of problems. His eyesight improved when he lost all this weight. He got rid of his glasses, because he'd been wearing glasses for years for long distance, and he didn't need to wear his glasses anymore. I just thought that was amazing. It showed that he was probably not getting the right kind of food, or maybe he wasn't exercising enough, and it was just like his eyes were suffering from that. So he started testing his blood sugar and keeping good track of it, and he was doing really well. And then I think kind of the newness of it wore off after a while, and he started not caring about it, and he started to put a little weight on again, and then that depressed him, because nobody likes gaining weight back that you've already lost, especially. And he didn't like pricking his fingers, which that's understandable. And his doctor was real insistent that they use his finger, because they advertise stuff on TV where you can test for diabetes, test your blood sugar on your forearm. But his doctor always wanted it from the fingertip, which your fingertips are really sensitive, and so he stopped testing his blood sugar, and I could tell that his health was kind of starting to go downhill after that. So, and then the more your health goes down, and sometimes that affects your mood too, and then when you're in a bad mood, you don't feel like taking care of your health, and it's a really vicious circle. So on the day that my dad died, he ate 2 donuts, according to the guy he was with, and that just breaks my heart to hear that, because I know donuts are like, ugh. I am not a fan of donuts, and it's not that they're not delicious and everything. It's just that they're just like the epitome of like the worst food you can eat. They're fried, they're fatty, and they're sugary. And it's like the only thing that's really missing there is just salt, So I guess if you put salted nuts on top of your donut, then you got the trifecta of, you know, the most imperfect food ever. So I have avoided donuts since the day my dad died. I've never really been a donut person anyway, but it made me so sad to hear that was the last thing that he ate. And my mom would say, well, maybe that's all they had. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, you know, that's all they had. He was at a basketball tournament, and you know, they sell concessions there, and you can't tell me that all they had was donuts. So this shows that he just really had given up on taking care of his health. Oh, Zoe, you had a donut? Well, I hope you enjoyed it. I don't mean to bash your breakfast. So maybe I did. Just don't have them too often. There's not really, like they say, there's not really any bad foods. It's just, you know, it's all about quantity, you know, and moderation. So but there's some people that just have donuts every day. You know, that's their breakfast every single day, and it's just got to be so bad for your system. Well, that's good, Zoe. Doing physical therapy is actually lessening your pain. That's really awesome. Yeah, 8 donuts instead of regular food, exactly. Yeah. I don't consider donuts to be regular food at all. They're like treats, you know. It's like candy, you know. They're just, it should be a treat. It should be something special. Yeah, there was a woman who used to watch Bibi years ago, and she wrote books about sugar addiction. That she was never really overweight herself, but she ate way too much sugar all the time, and she started having all these problems with pain and low energy, and she traced it all back to like how much sugar she was consuming. And she's really science minded, so she started researching how sugar affects the body, and she sent me some books about sugar addiction and inflammation, how it can cause your the tissues in your body to be inflamed. Boy, we got backwards head bird here. She's really out of it. So she had found that when she gave up sugar, that her pain lessened and then eventually went away. So hi there, Beeps. Are you wanting to take a little nap? Yeah, that's the best way to avoid a food or a habit is not have it in the house. Yeah. My mom was a smoker, and she tried to quit so many times, and she did quit after she had a deep vein thrombosis, which is a blood clot in your leg. And that's one of the reasons why they tell you when you're flying in an airplane, you're more likely to get those, so you should get up and walk around every now and then. Well, you also get them from just sitting, just in general. and if you're predisposed to having clots and strokes and things like that. Those typically, that kind of thing typically runs in families. And her mom had strokes, so blood clots definitely ran in her family. And I say her family because I'm adopted, so I'm not a part of that. So she got deep vein thrombosis, and she quit smoking because that was like they gave her a list of things to do, and that was right at the top of the list. Is, don't smoke, and then you won't get another. If you won't get another blood clot, or if you do, it won't be as bad. And that was the blood clot was very painful. She waited to go to the doctor until Monday, and I think it started happening on a Friday. And I was out camping when all this was going on, so she couldn't reach me, and I'm not even sure she tried to reach me until that Monday or whatever. She needed to drive to the town that's about 10 miles away, or not 10 miles, about an hour away, and to get the clot x-rayed. And she waited, and I can't believe she waited all weekend with a blood clot. It must have been really painful. Her leg turned like kind of purple, and she said it really hurt really bad. So I don't even know really how she drove, but she stopped smoking after that. But then she started again, and I kept telling her to just if you just, easier said than done, but don't, if you don't buy them, you're not going to smoke them. And a couple of times when I'd come visit, I'd talk her into letting me destroy the ones that she had in the house. I'd run them under the tap in the kitchen, and run water over them to ruin them, because I thought if I just threw them in the trash, she'd dig them out. So I wet them down before I threw them away. And I probably did that with her maybe 4 or 5 different times, because she'd say she wanted to quit, and I'd try to help her. And she'd called me one time and told me that her doctor had said that it was okay to start smoking again. I was like, that is a lie. There's no doctor on the planet that would tell you it's okay to start smoking again. That made me really, really mad. It's like, I don't like it when people lie to me. I think it's one of the, I don't know, it's just a basic thing, just being honest with people. Yeah, DVT, exactly. That's what deep vein thrombosis. That's what the letters stand for. Yep, hers was behind the knee is where she got it, on her left leg, I believe it was. And of course, she didn't know what was going on. She'd never heard of DVT before. She'd heard of blood clots, but she thought that those always happened in your heart or your brain. She wasn't thinking about it happening in her legs. And they can be pretty serious, because if they break free, they can travel, in your veins, and travel up to your lungs, and then you'd have a pulmonary issue there with your lungs and your heart. Ooh, congratulations on quitting smoking, Barbara. That's awesome. 30 years. Ooh, there's a feather in your cap. That's something to be very proud of. Ooh, dark chocolate. Yeah, I'm a big dark chocolate fan too. Although I think as I get older, I'm eating less and less sweets. It's not appealing to me anymore. But dark chocolate, it's one of those things, like you said, if you start in on it, well, you have to eat the whole chocolate bar, of course. Can't just let it sit there. His speech to text is really a great invention. It used to be, I remember when that was first coming out, that technology, that I had a friend over at the house and we were playing with some software that was speech recognition software. It had dragon something, it had the dragon in its name. And this is probably in the early 90s, maybe. And the software was so bad, it could never get it right, what you were saying. And we just laugh and laugh. We'd practice saying something into it, because you had to train the software first of all to recognize your personal voice. So it's come so far so fast. It's just amazing. That technology is just awesome. And optical character reading is another thing that really came a long way, where you can feed a page into some software and it can recognize the words on the page, and even handwriting is just incredible. But yet speech to text, I'm sure for people that have a hard time typing because of a disability or just anything, some people just it's difficult to type, and if you can talk, and it goes so much faster too. I really used to make chocolate vitamins for they marketed them toward women. I can't remember the name of the company. It was Vita something, and they were like chewable chocolate squares. And they kind of tasted like Tootsie Rolls, which I love. And I remember on occasion eating more than I should have of those. It was like probably getting too much of potassium or something. With the multivitamins and the ones with minerals and stuff, you gotta be careful not to take them too much, more than you're supposed to, because you can get a buildup of some vitamins and stuff will just pass through your system, like vitamin B's, and I think vitamin C pretty much too. It's really hard to overdose on that, but some of the minerals like potassium and calcium and stuff, you can cause yourself some problems if you get too much. Boy, I bet your cholesterol was really down there. You might have had like a negative cholesterol reading. That's funny. Barbara, what are we going to do with you? That it reminds me of like the treats that they have for like heartworm medicine that you give your dogs, that you always have to be really careful because they taste so good to the dogs, that if you left them somewhere, that your dog would eat all of its heartworm medicine for a year, within the span of like 5 minutes. It can be kind of dangerous to make medicine taste good. Yep, that's right, Zoe. And it's also like why when you're taking vitamins and minerals and stuff, to look at like the water soluble ones. It is good to have some water when you're taking them, because they will dissolve better. And then the fat soluble ones, it's good to take those when you have a meal. Or something, that's got a little bit of fat in them, because it helps those absorb better. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right that the water soluble ones will. They just kind of pass out through your urine. That's why when if you take like vitamin B, it'll make your urine like a really vivid yellow color. When I was a teenager and I went vegetarian, my pediatrician told me I needed to start taking B vitamins because when you don't eat meat, it's really hard to get certain B vitamins. I think B12 is one of them, and maybe B6 too, but there's a whole host of B vitamins, folate and niacin and all of those. And I started taking them, and then I noticed that my urine was really like fluorescent, and I thought this has got to be really bad for me. And so, being snot-nosed teenager, I thought I knew more than my doctor, and I stopped taking them. So, and I think there's a link between depression and B vitamins. At least I think there is for me, because when I feel like my mood is sinking, I'll go take a B vitamin, and then after a while I feel better. So it might not actually be doing anything, but if it's just a placebo effect, who cares? As long as you feel better and it doesn't hurt anything. So, because if you already get enough B's in your diet, taking more is not going to hurt you because it just passes right through. So Barbara, did you do a lot of walking in the past for your exercise? Or did you go to a gym? Because that probably is causing problems for a lot of people that are used to going to a gym to work out, and now they can't do that. I've recommended B vitamins to a lot of my friends who say that they're going through depression or whatever. There's one in particular that she didn't like taking them because she said it made her feel antsy, like because B vitamins do give you like a little boost to energy. You might have heard of people getting B12 shots, and it's a way to give you a little boost to energy that doesn't hurt anything. If you already have enough B12, your body will just pass it through. It doesn't stick around and cause problems. Like say with like calcium and potassium, those will stay in your system if you get too much, and you can actually get like kidney stones, or with potassium it can affect your heart. So you have to be kind of careful about not taking too much of the in pill form. I don't think you can really get too much of it from your food, because there's just it takes a lot to get too much. I mean, you could probably eat a pound of bananas and not get too much so much potassium that you would be hurting yourself. It's weird that we always think of bananas as being like the potassium food, because apples have almost as much, and milk has a lot too. I wonder why bananas got the stigma of being potassium rich. They're not the most. Hi Zoe. Oh, it's already well after 11. Okay. 2 days in a row I lost track of time. I hope I didn't bore everybody with my babbling. It's just so quiet otherwise. And I didn't really feel like typing. I know when I type that you guys can hear it, because my computer's right next to the camera and the microphone. Alright, do you want to sign off, Bibi? You want to say bye-bye? I think Bibi wants to take a nap. So thanks so much for watching, everybody. Remember to watch Einstein today at 2 p.m. Central. Right? Einstein's going to be on Beebs, I think. As far as I know. So I wonder if Einstein's getting any of this weather that Joan and we're getting rain. We haven't heard anything about tornadoes, but Joan said earlier about having the possibility of tornadoes today. So I hope everybody is happy and healthy and doing your best, and we'll see you tomorrow, okay?